What up, guys? Fight Fiend Mix here, coming at you with a new video. Thanks for taking the time to stop by and check it out. Before I get started, I want to say hope everyone is doing well and staying healthy, washing their hands, and doing all that good stuff. I live in Vegas, and things are slowly opening back up, and we're taking these baby steps to some semblance of normality. It's going to take us a while, I'm sure, but regardless, we're going to make it through. So I hope everyone is doing well and, of course, staying healthy. Also, don't forget to check me out on fightnetradio.com. Check out their Facebook page with Lee Honish and Andrew Lapachet. I'm on there twice a week. Well, sometimes it's twice a week. More often than not, it's twice a week. So check us out there. Then, of course, lastly, please follow me on Instagram at FightFiendMigs. And then, of course, here on YouTube, subscribe, like, share, comment, agree, disagree, angry letters, etc. All right. That being said, on to the topic of the video. Um, Today, I believe it was earlier today, I woke up to some tweets by Jorge Masvidal in regards to his pay for his next fight. He basically went on this huge rant every few hours, releasing or posting these tweets talking about how is he going to receive less pay for his next fight than he did on his last fight, just because his opponent isn't a draw, and a lot of other things about him being labeled an independent contractor per his contract, but of course he isn't because he can't go anywhere else to work. A bunch of other stuff, right? Basically, another dispute with fighter pay in the UFC. It's a reoccurring trend. It hasn't gone away. It's a problem. So when I first started seeing some of these tweets and then also on my Instagram feed, I was reading some of the comments, and the majority of them were pretty much attacking Masvidal, immediately questioning his credibility, his credentials, his recent fights, his record overall. How the fuck is he asking for more money? Look at his record, shit like that. Now, for the record, I'm not a fan of Masvidal. I don't want to get into why exactly because it's kind of a long story and honestly it's a little bit petty. But I'm not a fan of that motherfucker. Period. I'm not a fan of him. So naturally, I went down that same rabbit hole. I was like, "Fuck Masvidal. What you asking for more money? What the fuck out of here? Like who the fuck are you?" Honestly, that's what I was thinking, because I don't have a high opinion of him in general. So I went down that rabbit hole, reading all these comments, talking shit about Jorge and him asking for more money. So it occurred to me to, well, thankfully the older you get, the wiser you get. I took a step back and I thought, okay, wait a second. This isn't just about Jorge Masvidal. I mean, it is now, but in general, it's not. It's about fighter pay. It's about fighters getting paid. I guess mixed martial artists getting paid in the UFC. That's what this is really about. Because a few weeks ago, or maybe not even a week, just a week ago, there was a lot of controversy around John Jones asking for more money for a fight with Francis Ngannou, and again, Dana's like, no, so it's a reoccurring trend, and I did take a step back from reading these comments, and I was like, no, 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 this isn't about Jorge. This is about fighter fucking pay. Now, when I was reading these comments, the first thing that came to mind was like, okay, so is he going to get a title shot? When he fought, when he fought Darren Till. Darren Till was like the number 3 welterweight, and then he fought Ben Askren, who was a number 5 welterweight, and he beat them both by knockout. So I was like, oh fuck, yeah, the fights before that weren't great, but he was kind of put into these fights pretty much to fucking lose, and he ended up winning. So it's like, okay, maybe he does, but I kind of went down. I almost went into like defensive mode and tried to like defend Jorge for getting a title shot, but I had to take a step back and realize that this is bigger than Masvidal. This is about fighter fucking pay. Now, for his last fight with Nate Diaz, it was reported that he got paid $500,000, and he main evented a UFC card, a pay per view, as a matter of fact. So I'm sure there was some sort of pay per view points added to that. Whatever Reebok deal, which is bullshit anyway, the Reebok deal that the UFC has with their uniforms, I'm sure he got some of there, and then maybe some sort of locker room bonus or some shit. So I'm sure he got more, but that was his reported fight purse. So apparently, his next fight, he's going to get less, or if it happens. So his tweets were along the lines of like, "Pay me my worth or let me go, dude. Fuck this," you know. So I was taking a look, and this is something that is kind of a sensitive subject because the closest cousin of MMA is boxing, and professional boxers get paid fucking boatloads compared to mixed martial artists, and specifically the UFC, which is the NFL of mixed martial arts. So this is something that has been going on for quite a while. Henry Cejudo, who just defeated Dominic Cruz, a two-weight division champ, he got paid 350K for that fight, 350,000 against Cruz. Um, I mean that says something, right? So I started to think. Yes, of course, this is kind of the point of my YouTube channel. Is I'm starting to think like, hold on a second, this is. I had to take a step back from those comments because this was a lot bigger and a lot more than just Jorge Masvidal. In a recent video that I saw of Dana White, he kind of sort of blew it off by saying, "Look, everybody wants more money." Now you can take that a few different ways. What he meant probably was like everybody in the world wants more money, of course, right? Fuck, I want more money. I got a damn 9 to 5 desk job, so fuck yeah, of course I want more money, right? And realistically, 350K or 500K to me is a goddamn shit ton of money, you know. But to some of these professional fighters who are getting paid to get punched in the fucking face, putting their health on the line for us, for our entertainment, you know, I think that they deserve to get more. And I'm all for fighters getting paid every fucking penny they can because it's a short career and it's a tough one. And granted, they chose that career, they signed that contract, and I can hear everyone already saying like, if you didn't like it, it shouldn't have signed the contract to begin with. Well, what other MMA organization is going to pay as much as the UFC? The UFC pays the most, period, right? Because they're the biggest. Does that mean they pay well? Not necessarily. It just means they pay the most of the other MMA organizations. So of course, that's the route they're gonna go to. So yeah, I'm already hearing you. I hear you guys. He signed the contract, so quit bitching and moaning. So that comment by Dana White saying, "Yeah, everyone wants more money," can be taken that way. Like, yeah, well, everybody does. Like me, I'm just a fucking 9 to 5er, or or every UFC fighter wants to get more money. So it's like, well, I wonder why that is, you know? So I started to do a little bit of digging, and I figured I'd pull my laptop out and give you guys a little bit of info here. Um, I found this on bjpen.com, that website. Let's see here. Sources tell, oh, and then also this was also posted on an article by The Post. Sources tell the Post UFC fighters' cost of the Las Vegas promotion company less than $150 million last year. That's 2019. Or under 16% of its $900 million in revenue. That's what the UFC made last year, $900 million. By contrast, Major League Baseball, the National Basketball Association, and the National Football League all share between 48 and 50% of revenue with their players. So that shows you something, right? The UFC fighter is getting paid peanuts. Now, in all fairness, one of the reasons there's a lot of money involved in boxing, and sometimes because of that, a lot of things are very, very risky to do because of the chance of missing out on some of this money. Unfortunately, that means sometimes facing top-notch competition. And because of that, us as fans, we lose out because we don't get the fights we want to see. There's many different factors. Boxing boxing requires a lot of cooperation from a lot of different people, networks, promoters, fighters, etc. Because the UFC is the NFL of MMA, generally a lot of fights that we want to see as fans happen. That's one of the reasons I love MMA, is because as opposed to boxing, we get to see the fights we want to see more often. I think these fighters should get paid a lot fucking more. Not necessarily more than boxers. I'm just saying a lot more than they get paid now. Period. Because I mean, let's be real here. 500K for a professional fighter in boxing terms, that ain't shit. That it really ain't shit. So that's kind of why I wanted to kind of make this video, because as much as I wanted to bash Jorge Masvidal, this isn't about him. This is about fighter pay. Mixed martial artists in the biggest MMA organization in the world, fighter pay in the UFC. Everyone from Masvidal to Cejudo to John Jones to Nate Diaz. Yeah, these guys. And there's this common saying in MMA, even amongst fans, talking about, well, if you put butts in seats, you get paid more. I get, I get that, and that certainly does make sense. But not every fighter is going to is going to be able to put fighters in seats. No way. There's always a division. There's always like the top guys, right? That's just how it is, right? So that sucks to say for the guys who are really busting their ass, who kind of maybe just aren't that talented to get up there. You know, that it sucks for them that like they're gonna have to force them to go to a different career to make money when they're good at this. They're exploiting their own talents, and unfortunately, it isn't as good as others, and they're fucked. So, one of the things that I kind of started thinking about is the guys at the top. They won't fight. They won't speak up for the guys at the bottom, for the have-nots. They will not speak for them. Obviously not, because they're getting paid well, right? And therefore they're living well. But like, why would you want to fuck that up? You wouldn't. You wouldn't speak up, right? I'm doing fine. The checks are clearing. Fuck it. Sorry for these guys that aren't making fucking big bucks. It ain't my responsibility that they fucking, for them to make big bucks, right? So nobody speaks for the small guys. So the have-nots, when they speak up, it's like, well, who the fuck is this guy? Who the fuck is that? Nobody pays attention to them. They don't have a voice for themselves. They don't have a voice for themselves, so that they aren't able to speak up and maybe even ask for more money. Because I mean, who the fuck are they, right? What have they done? Do they put butts in seats? That's it's fucked up to think about it that way, but that's really what it is. It isn't that won't change until the guys at the top start like speaking up for the guys at the bottom, or speaking up for themselves, wanting more money, like John Jones is doing, like Jorge Masvidal is doing, like Nate Diaz and Henry Cejudo even. It's like they're not going to speak for them. So my point being that this is a bigger issue than just Jorge Masvidal not getting his just desserts, or his, I should say, desserts, his dues. I guess he paid his dues. He should be paid accordingly, especially for a title fight that could be I don't know if the fight that he was referring to specifically was a title fight, but there's one thing that I did want to kind of mention, and let me pull up my laptop here. I got it real quick. For those of you who don't know, there's a mixed martial artist named Leslie Smith, and she used to fight for the UFC and is currently a Bellator fighter. I want to say she's either in the 135-pound division or 145-pound. I don't recall specifically because she's fought in both. But she is currently part of this I guess campaign to unionize MMA. It's called Project Spearhead, and I'm reading here from my laptop because I don't remember the specifics. But I have their website up, and I want to read this to you guys. It says Project Spearhead is an association of professional mixed martial artists intended to spearhead the process of moving towards unionizing all professional mixed martial arts. Project Spearhead is a democratic, fighter-led organization wherein fighters make all association decisions, including hiring professionals and association governance, free from outside influence. Project Spearhead will operate on parallel paths, while collecting authorization cards to spearhead the union movement. Project Spearhead will also operate as an association of fighters to secure benefits. It's for its members, such as healthcare, access to legal review of contracts, and access to reputable financial planners. The ultimate goal here is for all fighters across every promotion to speak with a unified and collective voice. So, is collective bargaining the answer? Fuck, I don't know. Is a union an answer? We don't know, but it needs to be addressed, because I'm on this the show that I mentioned earlier, Fight Net Radio, and we're constantly talking about fighters, professional boxers, and the money that they make. Right now, I actually mentioned this on a previous video. There are certain networks, or I guess streaming services like the Zone, that are running out of money for some of these fucking fights that fighters contracts that they fucking paid, and that's a lot, And again, I don't want to take anything away from professional boxers, because they're putting their lives on the line for our entertainment. So give them every fucking penny, give them every fucking penny. But let's do the same for mixed martial artists, And I don't I know there's a lot of arguments against unions and against what is it called, collective bargaining. But I mean, there's that in the NFL, there's that in the NBA, and I realize there's different business models for those. There's franchises involved and franchise owners, and that's kind of a different thing than just professional fighters under one MMA organization or one sanctioning body, so to speak. Um, boxing is different. Boxing even has the Muhammad Ali Act, but I kind of wanted to just kind of ask you guys, what did you guys think about that? Because a lot of these, like I said, a lot of these comments are immediately attacking Jorge Masvidal because he is who he is, and maybe he's not a top notch guy. He doesn't deserve that fucking kind of money. But there's a bigger issue here. It's mixed martial artists, specifically UFC fighters, getting paid more because I mean there have been guys who get paid like 16 grand to be on the prelims. Again, I realize that they signed the fucking contract, right? I get it, they did it, but I mean, what other choice do they have? Going to another organization that won't even give them that can't give them that. Like I said, the UFC pays the most. I'm sure it does, and of course it does, I should say. But that doesn't mean it pays a lot, So that's kind of one of the things I just kind of want to get off my chest here. And if you guys agree or disagree with me, by all means, let me know in the comments. Maybe a bargaining or a collective bargaining or a union is the answer. I'm going to leave a link for Leslie Smith's website. Well, I mean, it's not her website, but she's leading this Project Spearhead, which is the effort and the campaign to unionize mixed martial arts. And I'm gonna leave a link there. You guys can check it out. I don't know right offhand what we can do to like help this movement, but I'm totally for it. I want mixed martial artists to get paid what I think is more than what they're getting paid right now. And I realize that right now we're in a pandemic, and maybe now is not the time. Maybe, but it's got to happen. It probably should have already happened, considering 2019 the UFC fucking made $900 million in revenue and paid 150 million to their fighters, 16%. I mean, you guys make or you guys come to your own conclusions there, I guess, if that's fair or not. But anyway, that's it. Without having to rant any further, thank you guys for listening to me rant and checking out my video. Once more, if you guys feel like commenting, agreeing, liking, sharing, subscribe, by all means do so. I'll make sure to post another video very soon. I actually already had an idea for another video on deck before this one came up this morning. It's Friday now, Friday evening, night almost. So I need to get to bed because I got to go to work tomorrow. So yes, us 9 to 5ers, we got to get up early. So anyway, thank you once more for checking out my video. I will definitely see you guys very, very soon. You guys have yourselves a good night.